Oakworth! This is Oakworth!
Well, I'd like to welcome you all to Oakworth.
We'll stay together, no matter what.
Honey, just look at their little faces. I was brought here from London when I was a little girl, and it was a big change.
Look at all the stars you can see.
Well, Sheridan, if I can ask you first, had you seen the film as a child, the original Railway Children, when you signed up for this?
Oh, I absolutely had. I watched it with my family, my mum and dad, at Christmas one year. I really vividly remember it. And we watched it a lot, actually, because it's so nostalgic, so beautiful. And then, of course, when I got the phone call about the Railway Children return and that I would be playing Jenny Agutters' daughter, I was hysterical and very, very, very excited. So were my family. So, yeah, it's an honour.
I have to ask, because it makes me cry. I'm sorry, the scene at the end of the Railway Children when you say "Daddy, my daddy" on the platform.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I have to leave the room.
No.
So.
Absolutely.
It's an extraordinary moment because I think it was very much in Nesbitt's mind. You know, her father died when she was 4 years old, so for her, she was desperate to have her father come back. So she writes that in and has her father come back. But when you read it, and I've tried to read it as a book, and I can't get through reading it without being really upset by it because it's because it's a wonderful moment. Father does return, but it's a very emotional moment. And she, that's put in the story, and Lionel did that so well, and created that sense of you're expecting something. Is it going to happen? Is it possible? And it does happen, and of course you're rewarded by it, and it's beautifully, beautifully done. And I think the Railway Children Return does actually wonderfully find its own moments of doing that. Because all the way through it refers to and pays homage to, and it's in the place that the other happened, the adventures happen there, but it's another time.
No, I mean, I already started welling up as soon as there were the scenes with the children being evacuated and the two of you on the platform waiting to meet them. I thought, no, not again. How can you do this to me again?
That the departure of the children, I think, is so beautifully shot. That tearing away from the parents of the one mother that goes and grabs the child back.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, says you're not going to go.
Yeah. And
you can understand that. I mean, I meet people where I live down in Cornwall who were evacuees that returned to Cornwall afterwards. Their memories of it are so strong. That was such a big part of people's lives. I think it's so important to remember that again today, and for children to be aware of that today.
No, absolutely. I mean, when this project came up, what was it that enticed you back to the role of Bobby after all this time?
I think the fact that it was actually, a different story. I like the idea of being Bobby much later on, that Bobby somehow survived through that First and Second World War. That I think Nesbitt would have liked the idea of it as well. That because they all believed in time travel, and in some funny way, one's been able to time travel and bring something from the past to another period of time, which doesn't belong to us but affects us. So I was really pleased when it came up. I thought, yes, no, this would work.
I mean, was there anything about her story? I mean, it's mentioned in the film that she was a suffragette and things like that. Was there anything that you really wanted included?
I think, one of the things that I looked at was that it's a very small role that I have in it, because it really is about the new adventures. It's about Annie being the mother. It's about this other world. But Bobby's there. And to make that link work, for it really to work, one has to realise that she's led a life in between that gets her to that point in 1945. So I talked a lot, even because it wasn't in the script at all, and I thought it was important to somehow get in there, or at least to understand what might have happened. And I talked with Morgan and Gemma about it, and we thought she would absolutely have been a suffragette, because 1905 was, the movement was all happening, and she would have become a young woman during that. She'd have been fighting for women's rights, and then she would have been fighting for family values and for social changes, and that's what brings her, round to and back up to Yorkshire and living there. So I felt that there was a real journey there, and that was important, and we do manage to get in the thing about the suffragettes, which I think is good.
I mean, Sheridan, what was it like, that it's sort of you're playing a headmistress, a bit different from your role in The Teacher, I thought.
Oh, yes, very different.
So what was that like, sort of signing up and basically being Bobby's daughter?
Oh, well, such a huge honour to be Bobby's daughter, Jenny's daughter. And so she's a great role, Annie. The headmistress of the school, so very strict at times, which always made me laugh because I'm so not like that with my son or any kids. But also she's full of heart, and obviously she's Bobby's daughter, so she's a great character to play.
Yeah, but we decided you probably found your mother quite annoying.
We did think that, didn't we?
Yeah, because when Mum goes on about things, being all right and everything's going to be okay, and it's not. Get real, and it's true. In Edwardian times, I think they really did. Nesbitt and all of those, and H.G. Wells and all those writers believed in a utopian world. And I think as one grows up, you realise that we can't have a utopian world, but we do have to be responsible for ourselves. So it's wake up and grow up. But I'm still going to hang on to the possibilities and the positive view that there will be a happy ending.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, both of you have had careers sort of starting quite young. So did you have any advice, or wished you'd given any advice to the child actors in this? Because they're phenomenal. I thought
they are amazing.
They're incredible. No. They didn't need any advice
at all. Couldn't give them any advice at all. No.
They're wonderful, and they were genuinely great friends. Offset, they all stayed together, and they were just a little gang, and it was so beautiful to see it come alive on screen. And they did a lot of improvising, which is a lot of it's made into the film, isn't it?
Yeah, the director Morgan was allowed them to play the games, to know the story really well, to know the dialogue, but then to improvise and to do other things with it. So that when I came in right at the very end, I came into a fully formed family, which was lovely. I was invited in to play the games with them, and indeed when we did scenes. You never knew what they were going to do next and where they were going to go and how it was going to be. And that was lovely because it just always had it just felt real and alive and happening then. It was good.
I mean, obviously this is a very iconic role for you, but you've had, both of you have had iconic roles. So I just kind of wondered if there was anything else you would, of your career you'd revisit. Whether it's, American Werewolf in London for you or, Scylla or whatever. Is there any role that you would actually, if somebody came along, you would want to do again, follow up?
It's interesting because you don't really have very many opportunities to return to a role. I don't think I could return to Alex, the nurse. Maybe she's matron of the hospital. No, they don't have matrons
I think a lot of people would like you to. I really do. You've got a cult following with that film.
Yeah. Another 30 years on. I think we'll leave that where it is. No, I don't know. I mean, I've actually spent a decade doing Call the Midwife, so I've been, revisiting that year on, year out. But it remains in the 60s. We're still in the 60s, which I think is very particular.
Was there any role you wanted?
I don't know. Mrs. Biggs, I would, but we played out her story from when she was 17 to 38, so I think that's done now. But I did enjoy that role.
Yeah. We want your help.
It's classified information. It's more than my life's worth.
What are they doing?
Bobby should know. You think Phyllis wasn't forever telling me about your childhood antics?
Not antics. Action.
When you signed on to this, what memories you had of the original? Had you seen it?
No, I hadn't. But I remember vividly the trailers. I remember them stopping the train, and I remembered Jenny's hat, wonderful hat. But then once I signed on, as it were, I saw it and I thought it was lovely, beautiful.
Had you seen it before?
Yeah, I saw it once when I was very little. I remember watching it in my mum's living room on telly one Sunday afternoon, and I didn't see it in between then and doing this film. I didn't see it again, but I think that some films are so beautiful and so emotionally resonant that you only have to see them once and they sort of stay with you. And it's weird, when I was telling people that I was going to do a Railway Children update, people just ask, what are you working on? And I tell them, and their faces just lit up because so many people have got such memories of watching that film and such a relationship with it. That it's an incredible privilege to update that story and follow on that lineage, but also a lot of responsibility as well, because people do care about it so much, and we just want to kind of keep our end of the bargain up, really. But we're very proud of the film, and we think it pays homage to the original, but also adding a few elements that make it worth watching in 2022.
I mean, I think it really has the tone of the original film. It does sort of work really, really well. But so when you watched The Railway Children to get ready for this, did you cry? Because I do. When she says "Daddy, my daddy" on the railway station, on the platform at the end, I just am in pieces. So
it was very touching, I think. But I saw this one for the second time on Sunday, and I got very moved at the end when it sort of works out and lifts up. I was surprised to find my eyes moisten and delighted.
I mean, I think also even the early scenes where the children are being evacuated, I think that's very moving as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, how relevant now since they're all leaving Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. So you both play characters that are connected to characters from the original. So when you signed up for this, did you kind of look at the Railway Children? You know, I mean, obviously you're Bernard Cribbin's grandson, aren't you, in this? So did you look at that and you know, you're...
No, they were a bit vague about whose uncle I was, and was I a great uncle, was I... You know, so we had to pin them down on that. They just wanted a nice man who worked in the Foreign Office to help, you know, out with the international. That was the idea of the part, and so I got pinned them down on, and it worked out. He was married to Phyllis, was she called? Sally Thompson. In fact, she did get a mention, quite a bit of what I said when I arrived was removed. So Phyllis is gone. But there you are. That's filming.
So were you trying to capture sort of anything of Bernard Cribbin's character?
Yeah, definitely. It was that balance again between making him believable as a descendant of that original character, but also finding new motivations and finding sort of new flavours that you can bring to that character. And it was just about working out what are the most valid traits of Albert Perks, Bernard's character, that can be passed on through the generations. And it was about diligence and attitude to his work and a great pride in himself and a sort of spikiness when he thinks that people are making a fool of him. And I think that as soon as I identified those, I accentuated those, and then it became like a relationship between two people who don't appear on screen at the same time, but you can sort of fill in the gaps and imagine Richard growing up with Albert and learning a few things about the station, but also a few things about life as well from him. And yeah, it was a privilege. It was intimidating, big shoes to fill, but it was a pleasure to step into those shoes, definitely.
I mean, obviously, with the names, a giveaway that you're going to be working with children, with child actors. Is that very different from other things that you do? Do you have to... I mean, they're phenomenal, these kids. I thought they were really, really good.
Yeah.
But do you have to approach scenes in a different way when you're working with them?
Well, no, you just enjoy them, really.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is this idea that never work with children and animals. Well, I don't go along with it. It's more a plot to never work with some, a few grown-ups. Very difficult.
But yeah, I think that it was very enjoyable because of the way filming works. You know, they'll shoot the kids' side first. Oh no! Actually, the first when I did the scene with Austin in the railway office where I'm telling him about the spy work, they shot me first, and then they moved around onto Austin, and they were saying because we'd done it so many times by that stage, Austin's responses were getting a bit predictable because he's just doing it automatically. So he just said, if you can improvise when the cameras are on him to make him laugh properly. Or to make him smile, we get organic reactions.
That's what we did when I was being Churchill for them. Thought it was quite early, so I said we could do me first because I had a lot to say. And then when I was on the children, I could pick my nose and whatever.
Yeah.
to get them to react.
Well, I think the last question. Obviously, Jenny is reprising a role from 50 odd years ago. So my last question is, if you could go back and reprise any role, and you know which one I'm probably asking you, what role would you want to revisit from your career?
Well, I couldn't do the long distance runner now. And Billy, I don't know. No, I don't want to.
Would you go back and be Samwell if you're asked? There's all the rumours about the Jon Snow series and all sorts of things.
I'd have to think about it. I think that we all left Game of Thrones thinking that thinking that we'd played these characters for so long and they had such a life to them. We'd like to sort of check in with them and see how they're getting on. But yeah, it's just we would play those parts for so long. As soon as we finished, we felt sort of free of them in a way, because it's a lot of story to carry around and also a lot of emotional life to carry around with you. So I think we're all enjoying having a bit of a break from that and exploring new areas. But in the future, who knows? I haven't spoken to anybody about the potential Jon Snow prequel, but if somebody wants to, send the script my way, I'd be interested to read it, I think.